Greetings, loners, and welcome to the Loner's Guide to ARK Survive Evolved. Today I want to talk about egg farming, specifically raising your own eggs, as opposed to some people loosely calling stealing eggs from wild dinos and such farming. It's all related, but I want to talk about raising your own eggs on an egg ranch, if you would, right now. As you can see, I have an egg ranch going on here at the Hidden Lake base, and it's a fairly productive one for a one-man show. I am playing single player, and that's the reason why an open base like this will work for me. This obviously isn't going to work for somebody who's going to play a versus player game. Or wahoo, that was crazy. That dino, that Rex pooped, and that something happened. That egg ended up going up in the air and falling back down. Would not want one of those things to hit me in the head in real life. That thing, talk about having an egg on your face. You probably already know that various kinds of eggs are necessary to make the various kinds of kibble, which make taming various kinds of dinosaurs much faster and more effective and a lot more fun. So taming some of these dinosaurs is kind of like watching grass grow. Now, some factors influencing egg production is a player nearby. That is a single most important factor in egg production. If you are away from your egg layers for more than a couple minutes, past a certain distance, they will go into stasis. That's true of any dinosaurs, wild or whatever. If there's not a player around, they'll go into stasis, and they will not lay eggs, among other things. So now when they come out of stasis, or if your server restarts, or game it, you're in a single player game, at that point they'll have a chance of laying an egg, and sometimes they'll give an illusion that they've been laying while you've been gone, or while no one's been around, but that's not the case. So you heard that if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one around to hear it, doesn't make any sound. Well, there's a corollary. If a dino lays an egg in a forest and there's no one to hear it, will it make a sound? And the answer is dinos don't lay eggs in a forest if there's no one around to hear it. Okay, so now another factor influencing egg laying production is whether or not they're mate boosted. Contrary to some of the official publication that's online, non-mate boosted dinos will lay eggs. The females will. Oh, my turtle just laid an egg over there. However, mate boosted dinosaurs are twice as likely to lay an egg as non-mate boosted. And we're talking about females here, obviously, right, guys? There was a time when apparently male dinosaurs were laying eggs. Okay, so another factor is now Oviraptor. Oviraptor boosted dinosaurs will lay eggs more often than non-Oviraptor boosted. But to be Oviraptor boosted, they must be mate boosted. You know, these, let's see, not my heads up display on. Yeah. See those little egg things? Those egg things are showing up for all kinds of dinos, male and female, mate boosted or not. But the only ones that it's going to be helping, according to, documentation, are those which are already mate boosted. Okay, turn that ruckus off. Visual clutter. Okay, so now to make the Oviraptor egg boost work, we're going to first person mode here. You have to put the Oviraptor in wandering mode. Then it just goes wherever it wants, and if it's got a big area like this, you have a hard time having predictable results of what it's doing. So it needs to be put on to wandering mode. Okay, so let's go to your wheel here, enable wandering. And the reason why it's not wandering off is because I filled her inventory full of weight. She can't move. Yet she still has the wandering effect. Cool, huh? Okay, so I guess we might as well pick up some of these eggs before they disappear on us. I like me some Rex eggs. This Oviraptor thing seems to be working out. So where was I? Okay, so a mate-boosted dinosaur, or even I guess a non-mate boosted, will have a chance to lay an egg every 17 minutes. An Oviraptor boosted dinosaur will have a chance to lay an egg every 11 minutes and 20 seconds. So I'm gonna get on my saber tooth here. All right, so the exception to that, that's documented at least, is the dodo, which has a chance to lay eggs every time it poops, which I think is between 100 seconds and 300 seconds. Oh, good. See, this one's not even Oviraptor boosted, and it's funny, sometimes the same one will lay 2 eggs in a row, or 3 eggs in a row, and they'll be the only one to lay an egg. That's the way it works. There's a parasaur egg. Okay, before I get too much weight going, I'm gonna go to my next, since I'm nearby, the next item, which is storage. Now, for quite a while I was egg farming, I would store eggs in the trikes or parasaurs or, dinos like that I didn't otherwise really use, even that Paracera, whatever the Parasaur. But what I discovered is I could keep eggs inside of a feeding trough. And what the advantage of that is, the feeding trough has no weight limit. It very quickly came up against dinosaur weight limits, and was having to shuffle eggs around constantly and stuff like that. This thing has 60 slots, and that's more slots than there are currently types of eggs. And then, like I said, there's no weight limit. And they all stack in one spot up to, whatever quantity is, and then they'll over like 99 and then or 100, and then I'll go to the next slot. Plenty of room. And if worst came to worst, I'd build another trough right next to it. The one caveat to this is, now that there's an Oviraptor within range of this thing doesn't have to go right up to it. Just has to be within feeding range of it. And we'll see what that is. If I put my heads-up display on here, all these things got the little tiny little sort of a V shape above the heart on that little guy. That indicates these ankylos. Well, not that one. This one's within feeding range to make sure the other one's got food. So, yeah, an Oviraptor within range of the feeding trough, if it's hungry, it will eat any eggs in there if there's no meat. So you don't want to lose eggs like that. What did I just do? Oh my god, I just increased food? Well, obviously I can't talk and think at the same time. That's a bad thing, huh? Okay, so I'm just going to run around and check some of my other features. Another thing is, regarding egg production, there's a limit of 6 eggs for most dinos within a certain area. And I don't think it's documented how big that area is. I don't know how big it is. Those are some of my dilos. And it's part of the reason I don't keep all my dilos together. I don't want them to affect the egg laying. Yeah, I don't want to limit the egg laying by having them all in one spot. Excuse me. Okay, so that's part of the reason I have my egg layers kind of in different areas. And the dilos, at sometimes, one recent time, matter of fact, when Oviraptor's around, I had 5 eggs sitting here. So that's close to limit. And the dodos are constantly pumping out eggs. But yet they're some of the least valuable ones because they're so common. I've had 2 female dodos, and until I tamed that Oviraptor, I had hundreds of eggs. It's been up over 200 dodo eggs amongst others. Taming that thing. Now here's a Kairuku penguin. And she's laid a couple eggs, and she's wild. I haven't tamed her yet. Because I'm lazy. Level 100. So I gotta tame her pretty soon before I forget about her and end up going too far afield and she ends up despawning on me. She's the highest level female, at least I found. Okay, so... Oh, I thought I saw another Rex egg over there. Yes, indeed. This is a good day for Rex eggs. I'll check my Sarcos here. And checking my Sarco reminds me of the topic of egg visibility. if you can't see your eggs, you're not going to find your eggs, and you might as well not be laying any eggs, right? You can see my turtles. Oh, I got to pick up that turtle egg too. Get that thing soon. Uh, they're all facing this direction because this is the direction I'm most commonly in my base. I get, there was a stego egg. I got it. Okay. All my female stegos are pointing this direction. Now, when I was able to keep my scorpions organized before things started spawning in and around my pen there, I'd have all my females facing outwards, and so the eggs would roll. Kind of had them up on a bank like my sarcos here. Now, the reason I have my sarcos up like this is because I realized at one point that the reason I wasn't finding hardly any sarco eggs for a long time was because they were getting hidden underneath the sarco's tail. Their eggs are actually clipping inside the tail. And once I figured out what was going on, I started putting them up here like this. And since then, I found a lot more sarco eggs. So it has worked great. I used to not find very many packy eggs because I had them over there in the ivy looking stuff. And their eggs are small and were often obscured. That same could be true of dilo eggs. Raptor eggs are black and kind of hard to see as it is. And similar with dimorphodon eggs. If you really want to find those eggs, have them on sand or something, some kind of surface where their eggs will show up easily, not be obscured. Okay, so some of you may be wondering what would be some of the best dinos to start farming with. And of course that kind of depends on where you're at in the game. But if you're wondering that, you're probably fairly new to the game. And so I would say probably the best to be dilos and dodos. Not necessarily in that order, but they're both easy to tame. You can get a lot of them for low cost and little investment of time. And I've just gotten a ton of eggs out of my dilos when I wasn't having them wander around the bowl here. So and the reason why they're both good to tame is because their eggs are good for taming several different kinds of creatures. The dodo egg kibble is good for taming ichthyosaurs, good for taming pteranodons. Those are two very good early mounts there, and I even use my pteranodon even now. I've got a quetzal and several argents and stuff. I've got about 4 or 5 pteranodons as well, and the ichthyosaur I use that from time to time. So that's pretty powerful right there. And the ichthyosaur is one of the first animals you can actually tame and put a saddle on. Get you pretty mobile around the water. Dilos you can tame with their egg kibble. You can tame ankylos, and with ankylo eggs you can tame carnos. Carnos to not mammoths, the wolves, and also the trikes. The trike eggs we use to tame, sarcos. And sarco eggs can be used to tame stegos, and stego eggs used to tame argents. Argents to spinos, and spinos anticlimactically, in my opinion, megalodon. Big, boring, slow sharks. And so, oh yeah, and also besides that, you tame Doedicurus with them. I have Doedicuri, or Doedicuruses. So, dang, already laid another egg. Wandering around here on water, autonomously collecting stones for me. And more stone than my poor Bronto over there can carry. It's about breaking his back. So what else? Scorpions. Scorpions are one of the most important ones to tame because their eggs can be used to tame Beetlebufos, those toads. One of the most fun mounts in the game, in my opinion, and useful too. And of course, also Rexes. Rex eggs can be used to tame plesiosaurs and quetzals, and quetzal eggs for mosasaur and Giganotosaurus, and Giganotosaurus eggs are the best thing for taming the Oviraptors, which, as we've seen, Actually works pretty well to boost egg production overall. Well, that's all, folks, for this episode of The Loner's Guide to ARK Survival Evolved. I hope you found it informative and useful. If so, please leave me a thumbs up. If you hated it, leave me a thumbs down, some feedback. Either way, leave me feedback. And I'd love it if you subscribe, because us loners gotta stick together. Take care.